nice segue because I'm actually going to talk about writing blog posts. So don't throw them away, they're still important. So my name's Konrad, I run the Creative Copywriter, probably need this, which is a copywriting and content marketing agency. You may be thinking to yourself, who is this hat-wearing hipster and what does copywriting have to do with SEO? To which I would reply, copywriting has pretty much everything to do with SEO. Something's changed on the... Alright, so it might look a bit strange because obviously it hasn't taken the font that was supposed to fit in. Well, it doesn't have everything, but it's got a lot to do with SEO. I hope the rest of this doesn't look weird. So basically I'm going to tell you a short story to explain why copywriting is so important. And then we'll get to some quite juicy, actionable tips on exactly what you can do to optimize your blog posts and to create killer content for prospects and for Google. So, once upon a time, there was a beautiful search engine called Google. You can see, very lovely here. And this search engine wanted to be the best search engine in the whole wide world. And in order to be the best search engine in the whole wide world, Google needed to provide its users with the best possible experience and service. And in order to do that, essentially it needed to provide its users with the best possible web pages for their search terms. Unfortunately back then, this was pre-2011, as Ed mentioned, Google was married to an evil algorithm, and the problem with this algorithm is it focused heavily on the exact keyword phrase matches, keyword density, so we talked about keyword stuffing, and the quantity of backlinks. And the problem with this, as Ed talked about, was that all these SEO tricksters were essentially creating really low quality content on crappy websites that were getting pushed to page one of Google because they knew how to manipulate it, and they were just stuffing keywords in, and they were creating hundreds of backlinks from, equally crappy websites and content. And so Google was unhappy, right? It was an unhappy relationship, as you might be able to see. But luckily, in 2011, Google divorced the evil algorithm and found a new love that went by the name of awesome content. I hope you like the special effects there. And awesome content basically had a way of gripping readers from the very first word, of giving completely selfless value, so much value that people would share the content with all of their followers, and so much value that they would actually link organically to this content, because it was so valuable. They wrote blog posts that would link to these blog posts, or they linked to it from other publications. And unlike its predecessors, awesome content, it wasn't pushy, it wasn't salesy, it was subtle, it was full of value. And the question is, how does Google recognize awesome content? Because Google can't yet read like we can. And it's again through a new algorithm, and it was basically by focusing on things like longer page duration. Alright, so rather than just let's shove, 10 of the same keyword into this rubbish article, Google now focuses, and since 2011, on page duration, because if someone lands on your blog post or on your website and they stay a long time, that shows Google this is a relevant content, right? They also look at a low bounce rate, because if someone lands on the content like they used to and it's not relevant, it's not well written, and they disappear, that shows people that it's not good content for that user. So it looks at page duration, lower bounce rate, and higher page depth. So page depth is the amount of pages that you visit when you visit the website. So if you land on a blog post and it's so well written and it's so gripping, and then suddenly there's another related articles section, and you click through to that, and then you keep clicking through the website, that is very good for SEO, because it shows Google, look, they're interacting with the site, it must be good, it must be awesome content. That is one of the reasons why YouTube did so well and why they bought YouTube. Because probably if you're like me, you get, watch one cat playing the piano and then you watch 100 more because you get sucked in, and they've got a great way of presenting that information to you. So page depth. And the other thing that Google started looking at was not quantity but quality backlinks and social signals. So rather than 100 backlinks from fake sites, you get one good backlink from a top publication in your industry. That shows Google it's awesome content, because a top publication is not going to link to a crappily, if that's a word, written blog post or landing page. And social signals also. If people are sharing your content, sharing your blog posts, that shows Google it must be good, it must be awesome. Okay, so how do you make your blog posts awesome? Tip number 1. That's weird. It took the font there, but it didn't before. I don't know. What do you think is the most important part of a blog post? Yeah. Why the title? Exactly, it's what draws people in. In fact, statistics say that 8 out of 10 people will read a title, and 2 out of 10 people will go on to read the body copy. Those are the same statistics as newspaper ads from, 70 years ago. That shows you how important the title is. You've got that one chance to grip and pull them in. Luckily for you guys, copywriters have been fine-tuning headlines for 100 years, literally 100 years. And the cool thing about copywriting, as I just mentioned, is that our brains haven't changed that much as humans in 100 years. So the same formulas that we were using to write ad copy in newspapers are the same formulas you now use in blog posts. Don't just come up with your own headline. There's plenty of formulas you can use. I could literally talk about just this one thing for the rest of the talk, but I know I've got to keep it short. So here are a few formulas. I'm not going to go through them, but if you get this, these slides from the site afterwards, I've got a link. There's 30 formulas, just use them. Tip number 2. What do you think is the second most important part of a blog post?
Images.
Perhaps. I mean, this is all subjective, so... The first sentence in the blog post. Okay, so every step when you're writing copy, when you're writing a landing page or a blog post, every step of the way is a chance to lose your audience. And people these days have, the attention spans of goldfish, pretty much. Usually 10 tabs open, clicking on everything. You look at something, you switch between, So, again, the hook, as we call it, the hook line is the next most important thing. So keep it a short one-sentence paragraph, a standalone sentence, make it fast and punchy, address their deepest problem, or, this is a cool technique, start in the middle of a story. So many blog posts, the world of content marketing is so saturated, especially in B2B. People just say, oh, this blog post is a blah, blah, blah. What about starting with, I was frozen in terror? Okay? Suddenly you're gripped, right? Because it's storytelling, which is really powerful. And then go on to, explain your point. This is a little extra tip. Leave out the full stop. It's a bit strange, grammatically incorrect even, but full stops make us mentally kind of stop. So if you start with that sentence and put a comma, or not, it will draw readers into the blog post, which is, the aim of the game. Again, I've got more formulas for you, so you can get them afterwards. Tip number 3, stagger the length of your paragraphs. So big paragraphs are scary. People find them scary. I have nightmares about big paragraphs, okay? So your paragraphs should be 1, 2, or 3 sentences each, 4 max, and stagger the length. Have a slightly longer one, and then even teeny weeny paragraphs like that. That's how to get a nice flow that draws people in. Forget these big chunky paragraphs. They're not appealing and they're not easy to read. Tip number 4, have a conversation with your readers. So in copywriting, the most powerful words are you and your. Alright, don't talk in the third person. Write your copy, it's the same copywriting and blog post. Write it as if you're sitting with one person and having a chat with them. Be conversational. You can use phrases like, are you starting to understand the value of? I know what you're thinking. Now imagine this scenario, or I'm going to ask you something and be honest. So use colloquial phrases as you would in a conversation. That's what people like and respond to. Mix up the colours there just to keep your attention. Tip number 5, build anticipation. So this is a cool copywriting tip where, your goal is to keep them glued to that blog post, to that piece of content, till the very last word. So one way to do that is by building anticipation at the start. This is an example. By the time you reach the end of this post, you'll be a copywriting expert. Okay, so tease them with what's to come. Tell them how knowledgeable, amazing the experience will be at the end of the post, so that they keep reading. As you wrap up every job of this blog post, you'll become more and more knowledgeable. This is actually, I don't know if you've ever been hypnotized, but in hypnosis they use the same technique. As you listen to my voice, you'll become more and more sleepy. It's the same. We're trying to make a hypnotic blog post. That's what we're doing. We're trying to keep people's attention, almost get them into a trance. I'm about to reveal 3 little-known industry secrets, but first, this is a cool technique because, again, you're telling them what they're going to get, something amazing, and then you pause. But first, whatever you're going to say there, whether it's a story, whether it's some points, they have to read those if they're going to get to the little-known industry secrets. So it's a little psychological trick to keep them gripped. Number 6, I mentioned it a few times, stories, so powerful. We've been listening to stories since we were toddlers. We can't get enough of them. Humans love stories, so use them in your blog posts. One clever way to do it is to start with a story, then leave a cliffhanger, then get to the valuable points, or the main bit, and then finish the story at the end of the post. Because people can't handle the cliffhanger. They have to find out what happened at the end of the story, and then they've read your entire blog post. And it's been an engaging blog post. Analogies will breathe life into technical topics, just as John did earlier. Analogies are great for talking about things like SEO or for big data or whatever. And metaphors and similes will make your content tap, dance and sing. You see what I did there? So, again, there's a link where you can get some inspiration. Number 7, make it scannable. So, for those of you who actually read articles and blog posts, with a show of hands, how many of you skip to the best bits? Okay, a lot of people. I do the same. I mean, I'm all about storytelling. I'm a busy guy, and I skip, and I skim, and I scan. So make it scannable by using subheaders, bullet points, lists, and a conclusion with key takeaways. This is an example of kind of what your blog post could look like. This is the font that it's supposed to be in, but never mind. Number 8. Involve and link out to influencers. Right, this is something I get really passionate about. If you don't know about influencer marketing, in a nutshell, influencer marketing means collaborating with top experts and influential people in your industry, in your niche, so that you can then reach their giant audiences. Okay, so you're collaborating with people that have lots and lots and lots of followers. And these people want to collaborate because it's, there's power in numbers online. It's so powerful. What you can do with content, for example, is you can create roundup posts. So you can reach out to 50 people in your industry that have a lot of social media followers and readers, and you can ask them one question each. Say you're creating an epic blog post and you're asking the world's top leaders. They all send you their answers. Suddenly you've created a blog post which is full of wisdom, full of knowledge and value. But the selfish thing for you is that all of them will then share it, and you can get, thousands of people. The first time I did this, I had 9,000 visitors in 1 week just coming to our site reading that post. And it was easier than writing my own blog post. So that's an example of what you can do to get collaboration. The drip technique is, rather than asking them to collaborate, you're actually just dripping in quotes from influencers. So let's say you're writing a blog post on SEO, you find some SEO experts, like some of the people in this room, you just take a quote from their blog, you take something that they've said, and you use it to back up your points. The cool thing is that you're making your blog post more valuable, but then you can then reach out and say, hey buddy, I've just included you in my blog post, it would be cool if you could share it. I need to hurry up, so it's good to build relationships with influencers first. Number 9, encourage shares and comments, be explicit about it. Have share buttons above and below or everywhere. You want them to share the post. And number 10, which I've kind of mentioned a lot, make it really, really, really valuable. Don't hold back. Link out to other valuable resources. Interlink between your blog posts and include screenshots. And I won't talk about that last point, so I've run out of time. But my last tip is go get them.